financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is, what is the best plan for dealing with student debt?
Don't take it.
Don't borrow it.
Do you have anything to say, Kelsey?
I'm still paying off my student debt.
There you go.
I paid mine.
Proof in the pudding.
I paid mine.
Brian Small, good morning.
Good morning, Ken.
Jeff Linden, good morning.
Good morning.
Kelsey Samasker, good morning.
Good morning.
The I paid mine is what I want to talk about first. The big debate, the social debate, is should there be forgiveness of student debt, or should there not be? Because you see these posts on social media that says, I paid mine, or you see, you shouldn't have borrowed the money, or great, you don't pay the student loan debt, so I have to then pay it. Those are the things you see.
Those are all correct.
So you agree with that?
No, I think, here, I'll tell you where I am at on this. I understand why they're proposing to eliminate student debt for a certain group of people, a certain portion of it. I don't like it because I did pay mine. It's not fair rule is what's being professed here. But what is the cause of the student debt, and why did it get created?
That's what I wanted.
That's the problem.
But there's even another side of it too. It's like we have tons of programs. We do shows on all kinds of other programs on debt elimination. It's the same theory. The people we go through debt resolution, the people we put through bankruptcy, you use the credit card, you borrowed the money for your business, you took out the mortgage, you bought the car, and I paid my car off. You paid your house off. Right. Why should you get out of it? It's the same argument.
But if you are going to take a step like a bankruptcy to get rid of your debt, there is an advantage. You get rid of the debt. There is a disadvantage in that it does do harm to your credit. It makes you credit ineligible for a certain period of time in certain aspects. There is a ramification of doing that.
There's a cost.
Consequences.
All right, so you hit on something that I wanted to talk about. Who's at fault for the student loan problem? Here's my take on it. There's a whole segment out there that's just blaming the students and blaming the parents for taking the loans. But if you said to me, what is the ultimate problem? And I'm going to give you an analogy to it. The ultimate problem is when Congress passed the law that said student debt is non-dischargeable. Fatal mistake. And I'll give you an analogy that goes with it. When Congress passed the law that said gun manufacturers are exempt from liability for people that use those guns. Big mistake. No need to do either one of those. There's no law that says if I loan Jeff Linden money, this loan is non-dischargeable. It was not necessary to do that, and there's no reason why to say if you're a gun manufacturer or a gun dealer and you put the gun in the hands of an 18-year-old punk who you can tell in looking at him he's going to go and kill a bunch of people, there's no reason why the family and the victim shouldn't be able to sue you. There's no reason at all for that.
No, I think he said too much
Both
coffee.
mistakes were made by Congress. If you didn't have non-dischargeable student debt, you could discharge it in bankruptcy. You could discharge it in Chapter 13. You could change the rules and say Student debt's dischargeable in 13 over 10 years, not 5 years.
Well,
you have so many solutions.
I will say this. Currently, there are programs through the U.S. Department of Justice in the bankruptcy world that are allowing for the discharge of student loans more prevalently than case law.
And I want to get back to those in the next segment, so you go through that, because everyone wants to know about that. But I want to make one more point that goes with this. The consequence of allowing student debt to be non-dischargeable licensed the banking industry, the private banking industry, not the federal government student loans. Discover, all these companies that offer student loans, they advertise them, we'll give you a preferred interest rate on your student loan. Mom, grandpa, grandma, you can put your kid through college, and made those loans so easy and readily available. Now add to that, because they become so readily available, there's a demand for them. That allows the universities to say, oh, Mr. Professor, you want a raise? Okay, 15% raise for you every year for 5 years. You want to build a new building? Sure, we'll build a new building. And all of a sudden, tuition goes from when I was in school, a couple grand a year, to when my children went to school, 20 grand a year, to when your children go to school, 50 grand a year.
The little Flintstone cars. With
Why
the feet
why did the tuition go up? It all comes back to supply and demand, and by making student loans non-dischargeable, the banks are throwing the money at the colleges to make them available for for tuition, and tuition goes up. So when I read on a post, I paid my student loan, you borrowed the money, I get pissed. I took a student loan too, and I paid it back. What did it cost me? $85 a month to pay back my student loan over 6 years. That was not a big burden. But to have an undergraduate student loan payment of $1,500 a month when you're only making $60,000 a year, that says no house for you. Sorry, got to go live. You either got live in a trailer park the rest of your life. Nothing against that, but no matter what you do, you can't get out from under it.
And the can't get out from under it is so ridiculous. The amounts of money that people are borrowing now, though, to complete their degree. I literally met with a nurse. She owed $400,000 worth of student loans.
Sick.
I mean, I don't care how much money you make, you can't pay it back. It was obnoxious. I know a friend of mine whose kid's a doctor. They owe $280,000 a year right now in student loans. They'll pay it back, though.
Let's take a break. We'll come back and figure out the programs of paying it back.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
You know, Dad always asked that we look after Mom when he passed away.
I know, but she insisted on moving down to the Villages, and now she has that new boyfriend, and I am worried. Maybe it's time to just call Samasco Law.
Take the stress out of your family's future. Reach out to Samasco Law and set a course through life's difficult times. Samasco Law, protecting what means most because that's what we do.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, we're back. So where's your?
Well, you know,
same thing, same issue.
The cause is terrible. Over the last 30 years, you've got universities raising the tuition, raising wages.
Why are they able to do that?
Well, the demand is there, and the demand is there, which is interestingly created by society saying you can't be successful unless you have a 4-year degree. Do you know what we don't have today? We don't have trades. There is no one entering the trades, and you can make an excellent living as an electrician, as a plumber, in the regular trades, but there's no promotion of that anymore, and so you're not successful without a 4-year degree. That was what was instilled down everybody's throat.
You get this mentality that comes down there.
So
I still think it sources
back. I have to borrow
back.
money. I have to go to college. I have to borrow the student loan.
And the money's there for you. How much do you want?
Yeah,
how much would you like? I'll loan you as much money as you want at 8% interest because you can't discharge it in bankruptcy, buddy.
Well,
what was your thought? What did you have?
No, I agree.
So, to me, and this is the same thing back to the guns. So, when you look at who's to blame, I blame Congress. I don't think it was with bad intentions. Congress didn't consciously decide to make student loans non-dischargeable because they thought it would be bad for the public. They thought it would make education more readily available. But that was when they passed the law.
But you have to know what was the cause of why Congress made the student loans non-dischargeable.
Because private lending wouldn't loan the money for the student loans unless they were non-dischargeable, or they would have loaned the money, but they lobbied and said this is why. We're not going to loan money to people for college unless it's non-dischargeable. And then Congress said, oh, well, we better make it non-dischargeable. What Congress should have said is, okay, don't loan them the money. And if they don't loan them the money, the government could have loaned them the money.
Then tuition would be a whole lot lower right now.
Yes,
right.
Because the demand it's supply and demand. So now the big question is, what are the solutions that exist today? And all these programs, what about for private student loans? What about Grandpa who borrowed $50,000 from Discover that's now $128,000?
All right, take the temperature down a little bit for just a second and look at what your
I can't.
options might be with regard. So you have private student loans and you have government-backed student loans. In the non-bankruptcy world, government-backed student loans have income-based repayment programs that are available. Now, currently, one of them that was introduced by the Biden administration called the SAVE program has been enjoined from going into effect because it's too aggressive according to the courts. We'll see how that works its way through the courts. But there are tried and true methods that are already there that are income-based repayment programs that are set up that work. And you can apply for those, and based on what you can afford, they will put you into a new payment. Even though maybe your payments should be on a traditional level, $1,500 a month, you can be paying $0 a month or $50 a month based on your income.
Let me ask you one quick question. If they didn't have those programs, but student loan debt was dischargeable in a Chapter 13, wouldn't that be the same result? Wouldn't you be paying back on the student loan the amount you can afford, just like you'd be paying back your other unsecured creditors?
The answer is student loan debt is dischargeable in 13 to a certain extent, and is dischargeable in Chapter 7 to a certain extent, but if it's not dischargeable, you're still able to force in a Chapter 13 that student loan lender to accept what you can afford. And that's the key. If it is, would be the
when
exact same thing.
When you say it is dischargeable, what do you mean it's dischargeable?
Well,
it's dischargeable in very limited circumstances, right?
Yes, but
I was talking about the normal circumstances.
Right. Well, we're trending towards dischargeable on a regular circumstance. 5 years ago, student loans were basically if you were making $600 a year.
If you had a cat, you couldn't discharge.
And you had a cat. If you had a pet, you couldn't discharge your student
because
loans.
you could afford to feed the cat.
Correct. However,
the cat rule
now,
is no longer in play?
It's still in effect, but there's a program through the Department of Justice that's been around for about 1.5 years now, where you can seek to discharge your student loans, and if you meet a certain number of factors, which includes you had to be repaying them in good faith for 10 years, you have to be below the median income, you have to show that it's...
Wait, so you have to have been paying them for 10 years in order to value yourself. But if you never could afford to pay them at all, you can't qualify?
But that's the thing. Those income-based repayment programs, even if your payment was zero, it's considered a payment.
Is this only for government loans?
This is only
so
for
what about
government
for private loans?
There are no special programs for government for non-government
so
loans.
The private loans get the benefit of Congress saying that it's still a non-dischargeable debt, but they don't have to give any programs for repayment based upon income, right?
You are 100% correct.
And people out
now,
there,
some of them do have
people
hardship
out there in
programs.
social media are okay with that because they don't even understand it. When I'm not advocating the notion that you should be able to go borrow $100,000 in student loan debt and go out and get a job as a doctor or an engineer as a lawyer making $100,000, $200,000 a year and pay back nothing.
That's what precipitated them making them non-dischargeable in the first place. Doctors would come out of medical school, be finishing their residency, not making any money in their residency, file bankruptcy, and then come out be debt-free.
Shouldn't let that happen. Shouldn't let that. So what
and they didn't. They changed it to be non-dischargeable.
You need to modify the bankruptcy laws to make them dischargeable, but not to be abused. It's that simple.
Well, nothing simple with Congress.
And when you do that, you need to repeal the exemption that gun manufacturers and dealers get on allowing children to be killed when they go to elementary school. It's elementary that Congress needs to do what should be done for the sake of our children. This is not a left-wing position or a right-wing position. This is common sense. And the whole bankruptcy thing is absurd. Take a break.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
If your daughter passes away before you, do you want her share to go to her kids, or do you want to go to your new son-in-law?
You didn't have to buy me a Ferrari.
Don't worry, baby. There's plenty more where that came from.
The kids. You've worked hard your whole life to create a lasting legacy for your heirs. Let Samasco Law help you make the right decisions to protect the ones you love. Samasco Law, protecting what means most, because that's what we do.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Time for announcements. I want to announce THAV GROSS has opened a new office downriver in the Horizon building on Eureka Road. So now we're in Flint, downriver, and also our home office in Bingham Farms. Remember, you can always come in for a free consultation. You can do it by Zoom conference, in the office, any way that works best for you. Just call 888-235-HELP or go to the website, thavgross.com, to sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business law issues, elder law issues with Pat or Kelsey, disability issues with Jeff Kirshner. Again, sign up at lawandreality.com or thavgross.com or just call 888-235-HELP. Also, if you go to the website, you'll see there's free reports. Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by Jeff Linden and myself. Bankruptcy, Is It Right for Me by Brian Small. How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure. Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan. And The Retiree's Guide to Social Security by Pat Samasco. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV Gross, Samasco Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV Gross.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV Gross today, 888-235-HELP.
So
there's a lot of passion that you have with this.
I'm calm. I'm relaxed now. So I just want to try and cover in the last segment. What is the normal best course of action if you're being pushed on a student loan? What do you do, Brian?
Well, the first answer is
I was calm.
You could just pay it like your ordinary payment that you're supposed to. Now let's get to
So should you make the student loan payment and not pay your house? Not pay the car payment?
Now you're talking about
not put
somebody
food on the table for your children?
So now you look at, if you can afford it, you make your payments. And you get rid of your student loans in 10 years, which is where they ordinarily are set up for. If you can't afford it, you can extend your student loans and pay them over 25 years. Okay? That's another
voluntarily
option. Voluntarily.
But that's with the government.
Right, so you lower even private student loans will allow you to modify your payment out over 25 years.
Way more interest over a long
Are they going to reduce the interest rate?
No.
But or are they going to waive the interest?
But they lower your payment.
But then resolve this problem for me. We've said on credit card debt, if you pay interest for 25 years, you're throwing away your retirement.
You already threw it away the day you borrowed your student loan.
What about Chapter 13? One after another until Congress finally changes the law.
So again, you're controlling the debt. In a private student loan, if you can only afford $200 a month, but your payment's supposed to be $1,000 and they're not working with you, you can control what you repay over time. You may not be able to discharge the loan because of certain factors, but at least you can keep it controlled. So bankruptcy is an available choice. It's a tool. Chapter 7 is an available choice for some people to discharge their student loans completely and walk away.
If you meet the criteria.
Now, I want to make sure that people understand there's other ways to get rid of your student loans, too. If you are...
Win the lottery?
Well, no, I'm just saying there happens to be Mr. Kirshner is not with us today, but if you are on disability, Social Security disability, you can get a Social Security disability discharge.
Got it. So just become disabled and then you can get rid of your student loan?
But it happens to a considerable number of people who were paying their student loans and
they went insane. And they went insane because of the pressure of having to pay them back, and they're disabled, and then Jeffrey Kirshner can take care of it.
Okay, but the reality is there are administrative methods to discharge student loans. There are the income-based repayment programs, Chapter 13, Chapter 7. what you need to do is, if you're struggling with paying them, you have to have your situation assessed. The reality is most people that are struggling with their student loans are also struggling with other debt too. And sometimes by manipulating all of that through a bankruptcy process, we can make it so that you can afford that income-based repayment program and get going forward with your life.
Let me ask you what you think of this solution.
But I'm telling you this, it's the university's fault. That's where the problem is.
Well,
it was created by
the
university. Well,
Congress, by allowing the student loans to be non-dischargeable, allowed the universities to charge whatever they want for tuition because the money's available to pay the tuition. But we've already talked about this.
You know whose fault I think it is? I think it's Brian and Ken's fault. Because
It
when
is
all
not-
of this was happening, they
Brian's
didn't go with their picket signs to
They did
Congress
nothing.
and
They
say, "Do you
sat on their-
understand what you're
I
doing?"
think this predated us. All right, I think it even predated me.
Yeah.
But here's my solution. Tell me whether you like it or not. Simple solution. Student loan debt is dischargeable in a Chapter 13 under the same principles of Chapter 13, except it's extended from 5 years to 10 years. That would address all of the problems
It could.
in my mind.
It could.
Simple, one-line amendment to the bankruptcy code.
It absolutely could be a solution. I think that the problem with that is that the failure rate of Chapter 13s, depending on where you are, is extraordinarily high. But that's just like in life,
But then
right?
you file another one.
It's just like in life. People go through ups and downs. And
Because it wouldn't be a 10-year Chapter 13. It would be a 5-year Chapter 13 for all of the other debt, but you would just have the lingering one remaining payment for the last 5
it
years
could
on
work.
the student loan
It
debt.
certainly could work. It's Congress just has to get off its butt, and that's unlikely to ever happen.
Sometimes I think the problem is the bureaucrats try and solve a problem in too complicated of a fashion. We don't need all these programs. We need a simple solution, and that's my solution. It's been my solution for 10 years already. I've been saying it. It just, to me, it makes sense.
All you got to do, Ken, is run for Congress.
What good would that do?
Well,
No.
one more voice in Congress that actually has logic.
One voice.
Or actually, scratch that. One voice in Congress that would be logical.
One. You got 3 votes right here.
I didn't say that.
You
I
can't.
gotta see who else is running.
You can't even be president and make it happen
Look,
because you can't do it by executive order.
Here's the key to understand this. When you have student loan debt, there are available solutions for you, and we can assist with that and help you find a way to either find the money in your budget to help you pay for it, find the ability to control it through Chapter 13, the ability to even discharge it through Chapter 7. The analysis needs to be done. At the end of the day, ignoring it is the worst thing you can humanly do.
Final words. The student debt problem needs to be addressed. The notion that it's to blame the student and the parents that borrowed the money is an oversimplification, and it's ignoring reality. Number 2, the gun exemption needs to be removed. Have a great week. We'll be back for next with Law and Reality.